daily soccer podcast with the Global Sports Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome back to the Daily Southampton, part of the Global Sports Podcast Network. My name is Greg Elliott, and as always today joined by my good friend and wonderful co-host, Zach Finch. And mate, how you doing after watching 11 Saints players run around looking like they're as full as turkey as I am?
Merry Christmas, happy Boxing Day. Massive shout out to anybody who's listening to us. However, just what a waste of like 2 hours of my life. That's what I'm at. Like, I wish I could be more cross about it, but genuinely, like the main crux of the takeaway of that game that I've come away with after we discussed, we had a bit of a pre-show chat beforehand because we've not spoken to each other since before Christmas. And one of the key things was like really well thought, hard won draw, which should have been a win, but we kind of let the players get away with it a little bit against Coventry, is wasted because we cannot put a team that we have not played since 1996, a team that you predicted we would beat 6-0 to bed. And then when we struggled to do that, because we were drawing, not winning, drawing, they were like, "Ooh, you know what we should do? We should take off one of our best creative outlets and another player that plays quite well. Let's put on like a 35-year-old and let's play it on a player who, and it's no disrespect to Jay Robinson, but is not an impact sub. And then maybe that will just, sort it out." No, what would you? And then to have the excuse of, I don't really know much. They are a managerless team.
Yeah.
That are like candidates for relegation. And this is no disrespect to Oxford. This is just the reality of the situation. And I watched a Saints team of 6 months ago. Like, it was written in the stars. You could tell we were struggling. We were knocking on the door. We were, is it going to go in? Is it going to go in? No, it wasn't. It was always fated that they were just going to take one chance. And with both chances, they basically had the whole game. They scored. Dyer. Dyer. Sorry. I mean, sorry. That was, you asked, how am I? That was just the tirade that's been in my brain, mate. So other than that, I'm really good. I hope you had a nice Christmas too.
You're right, mate, though. You want to talk about the levels, and the Sky commentary went on and on about it, but at the end of the day, Oxford is a team who just about survived in the Championship last year, otherwise had sort of come up from League One. I mean, they can only afford 3 sides to their stadium. And
again, I don't want it to come across as arrogance, because we've talked about how anyone can beat anyone, right? We even discussed about how, literally in the build-up to this game, we discussed about how it could be a banana skin, because we could treat it, like they have done, which is, it's the first in a big run of games, and bringing Leo off to bring on, because of the fact that the game wasn't done. You can't keep. I know that you want to keep another eye on the other game, but we're not going to win if we take all. It's just frustrating, because I think everybody saw what was going to happen. Everybody saw it playing out like this. It's just frustrating. We should have gone out and demolished them. We didn't. We waited to go a goal down before we suddenly put an effort in. Yes, it was nice to score from free kicks again and set pieces. Leo assisted that with the corner itself, but it's just it's and I know there was a talk at one point of a penalty shout, but it's just that shouldn't matter, because we should have put this game to bed. They're a managerless team. We are a team that has hired a manager that went on an extremely good run with players that were scoring for fun, that had the, call it synergy, call it energy, call it flow, call it whatever you want to call it. And I sat there today, and I had to kind of neglect the family I was with to try and watch this, because I obviously know I'm going to be reviewing it. And I'm sat there and I'm doing this Boxing Day quiz, sort of half not really paying attention to it because I'm watching this football. And I'm like, I just want to stop watching this because this is dire. It looks like, as you pointed out, mate, that the players also decided that they were having turkey, getting, all the stuff in, all the trimmings, came out and went, oh, great, we've got football tomorrow. And it did almost feel like watching a hungover Sunday League team that just didn't have the energy that we would expect from
It was
the team.
It was a Will Still game. It was like
a Will Still game.
like we completely reverted back to, we're not like fast and dynamic anymore. Actually, we're just going to pass it around. And, Oxford played with that low block, which I know we have struggled with against in the past, but it was just so
you've got to learn
slow.
to break that down.
Yeah,
you can't just kick the ball sort of towards it and be like, well, it's not happening. I get it.
And I mean, the two observations I made specifically in the first half, I think I turned around and I said, I went to the Dell, the pub, to watch it, which was nice, with the whole family with a lovely meal and sat with perfect line of the TV to sit and watch the game. It was a lovely day out and the food was fantastic. But I turned around and I'm like, why isn't anyone passing the ball to Tom Fellows? Like, I'm pretty sure his first touch of the ball was the free kick he won for the goal. Because to be fair, I said that, and then he got the ball and he won the free kick and we scored from it. And I said, I told you we needed to pass the ball to him. Like,
and obviously, like, Eckert's come out and said that, like, his fitness levels weren't there, but that doesn't mean, like, well, if he's playing on the pitch, pass the ball to the guy. It just,
it wasn't baffling.
We just weren't there. It just felt like I wasn't watching the same team as like 2 or 3.
That's it, because we didn't seem to have that outlet down that side. We would try and go down the other side, and we hit the same problem we had against Coventry, where all of our output was going down that left-hand side, and everyone was just marked out of the game. And so then everything is just sideways, backwards, back to Baz, who then almost got himself into trouble 2 or 3 times with this same, like, passing it about around the back energy. And you say it was a very Will Still team performance, but actually a lot of it was some real Russell Martin ball in there. Like, we nearly, and then Oxford. I mean, Oxford have clearly been looking at the stat sheet on Bazunu to see that he is the goalkeeper in the league who is letting the most goals from shots outside the box, because they were just shooting on sight. And I'm like, one of these is going to go in a minute. And then, the ball bobbles in and we don't really clear it and we don't get out to the player. And then he puts a cross back in and we defensively header it. And then we still persist to not close down the player, and bang, they score. And I'm like, you could have seen that coming a mile off. Like, it was just...
It genuinely felt like nobody was really up for it. That's genuinely... It looked like everyone was tired, no one wanted to be there. And I get it, right? I'm not back to work until next week, but I am back to work next week. And the Crimbo limbo period is horrific for anyone that's doing work, because, you've got to pay attention. And I get that with football, it's just tough. I mean, and it's probably again, difficult.
As we established pre-recorded, mate, I don't even know what day it is.
Yeah, this is true. Like, Greg started popping off about some actual, like, work stuff to me, and I didn't really clock it. And then he was like, wow, this is going to go out, obviously, tomorrow on Monday. And I was like, Greg, it's Friday. We're recording on Friday. And he's like, oh, yeah, but the football's on, so just assume it's Sunday. You don't have and like, that's how it is sometimes, right? And I think it was just frustrating, because if you are a fan that has partook in the Boxing Day tradition, you've gone all the way to the away game, you'd expect something. Like, at least they got a goal to celebrate. But even the goal was one of those ones where we went, oh no, we've conceded, let's start playing now. And then after that, we just weren't able to do anything. And it's really disappointing to go from loss to draw, and then, like, we wanted to come back, get a statement win. And it's like, I don't know what terms Eckert's been hired on, right? I don't know what the expectation is this season. I assume it's still promotion. It's still what they're talking about. If we cannot beat Oxford United on a promotion run after the amount of games we've had and the run that we're supposedly on, like, what are we doing? And I don't want to go back to what it was like under Steele, where we're talking about relegation. But like, you look at this game and you're just like, what are we doing? Like, genuinely, what are we doing? Because all of the hard work that we put in, and all of this, like, run we built up, is just being undone again, because it's a very Saints thing to do. You put in a great performance and you get a draw against a Man City, and then next week you just lose to a promoted side, and that's genuinely the vibe it gave today. And I just don't know where the motivation was, and then obviously it doesn't help that then a lot of the criticism will go on the manager because of the man management. Because when we looked at the lineups, The lineup was perfect. The lineup is exactly what we'd have picked, right?
Yeah.
What we would consider to be our perfect lineup. And
Well,
that just didn't play out on the field at all.
Yeah, well, I've got maybe, I don't know if it's a counterpoint, but a further discussion point to add to that.
I'm fine with that.
But let's have a little break first and hear a message from our partners at Bioniq.
Your body is unique, and Global Sports Podcast Network has partnered with Bioniq, the world's most personalised supplements. Bioniq provide 100% tailor-made supplements designed to deliver precisely what your body needs at exactly the right levels to optimize your health. No guessing. So click the link in the show notes. Use the code GSPN2025 for 40% off your first month's subscription. Bioniq. Don't settle for off-the-shelf solutions made for just anybody. Get what's right for you right now.
Okay, and we are back. So yeah, you mentioned the starting lineup, and two changes, and we talked about Fellows, I think, being underutilized today, which is definitely one problem. Stevens in for Kwashi. Did him coming in make the defence worse? Because that's what it kind of looked like.
Maybe, but I also think, again, it's because we're putting Kwashi out against teams that we would consider to be stronger. And you said it yourself, mate, in the preview. I don't think there's anything that Stevens couldn't handle in this Oxford United team. And again, that might have been coming from a place of, I don't think arrogance, but maybe misguided optimism. That clearly maybe wasn't the case, because they, as you're right, had obviously, even without a manager, had somehow definitely paid attention to what we're doing and paid attention to the way we're playing and what they needed to do. But I wouldn't, as we've discussed before, I wouldn't be upset with either on the team sheet. And we went through that whole period where Stevens wasn't in the team under Will Still, and then he came back in the team, and then we did have a big winning run, which contained both of those players. I just think that everybody didn't hugely seem up to it today, and I think that a lot of the substitutions really changed the game, because, again, they're thinking about games coming up. But if you don't win the game that you're playing in now, you know, and this was my big worry about Eckert, is I told you this when we hired him. Like, clearly he was talking about how he was sleeping at Staplewood and he's preparing for every game with meticulous levels of detail. And what I think is actually happening now is that is unsustainable, right? You can't do that forever. Like, unless you're a Pep Guardiola, and then what happens? You split up with your wife and you end up not existing in reality.
Then, right? When you're talking about what was it this week? 3 games in literally 4 games in 7 days or something stupid, like a ridiculous turnaround. It's just not. How can you can't do it, right?
And one of the other big problems is, like, I know that this is wildly deviating from your point about whether or not I thought Stevens' Kwashi was better. I think I'm really frustrated that we are the only team in the top 12 now that did not get a point out of the game they just took part in. So, like, Coventry won, Middlesbrough drew, Derby drew, Stoke drew. We've now dropped down to 12th. To get back to 10th, where we started before these, a game and a half ago, we're going to need to win the next game, or otherwise that point gap is going to happen, right? Like that. It just feels like if the Coventry game was a point earned, right, it would have definitely felt like a draw out of this game was 2 points lost. 100%. Whereas a loss is like, it's just like, well, okay, well, we just gave up then, didn't we, towards the end? And it's just more embarrassing than anything else. It's frustrating. I'm incredibly frustrated. This was supposed to be, we talk about make or break. We talk about if this is a must-win game of the season. It's getting to a point where if we want promotion, if we even want to push for promotion, it's getting to a point we need to start winning, and not really, and like, that is the standard. It feels like we've re-established that. We've had a wobble, and now we're still kind of like on the wobbling downwards trend. Maybe today is just a wobble, but the things that we had as worries are starting to come into fruition, i.e., we don't really have subs that can do anything other than see out a game already won. So if we've not won the game by that point, it doesn't feel like it's changing. Yeah. Wait, who's better? I don't know. I don't think it would have made a huge bit of difference because I genuinely don't think. I think that it was the entirety of the team that weren't really up to it today, as opposed to an individual.
You're right, and we called it coming into the game, make or break season, right? With all of these quick fixtures, it's both an opportunity to right those gaps and climb up the table, or to sink furiously into the quicksand of despair of the mid-table of the championship. And I mean, so far we can see which way's more likely.
If we won all four of those games, right, you would have ended up with 33 points, 37, 40, 43. We would end up, obviously, that's entirely decided on whether or not the teams above us got anything. But you would probably expect us at that point to be quite high up the playoff places.
Yeah.
After losing to Oxford United, does it feel like that's going to be the case, right? Like Coventry,
and then only 2 days, only 2 days to turn it round and go again at Birmingham. Like this is what I mean. Like if you get that win and you're riding high, you go into the next game and the preparation's probably slightly less important because you're at least going with the confidence. But I mean, how can you take confidence after today's performance when it was so lethargic, right? It was just literally just like you say, like Saints of old, just casually passing it around. I don't know if it was maybe they just underestimated Oxford, and Oxford, now they're free of the shackles of their old manager, and I know that they had
quite a few
changes to their team coming into the game. Came and fought for it, but yeah, it's just a bit sad. A bit devastating.
Do you know what I will give you though, Greg? There is one positive to take out of it, and that's by Oxford winning, they have pushed Portsmouth into the relegation zone.
Yeah, I did see the conspiracy theorists come out and say that was in fact a deliberate ploy, but I'm not having any part of that.
Yeah, but I don't think that's true. I think it's we all need whatever we need to justify a performance like that, and I think that what I'm more upset by than anything is it just felt like it was a waste of my time, and it didn't feel like they were really trying to win the game from the get go. It felt like it looked lethargic, it looked tired, it looked like everybody just wasn't quite up for it today, and that's why I'm not like when you're saying, do you think that you could swap out X with Y? I think that we could have had some of the best players, if we swapped out everybody. I don't really feel like there was anyone that I saw that really was a standout. I think Cienza tried, as he always does. He was very, very close to scoring again, but he's just not somebody who's just, hasn't been lucky with some of his shots. But
it's a concern, isn't it, though, after him coming off after 50 minutes again, like question marks over his fitness, this busy schedule being new to him. I mean, being so reliant on him to be that driving forward force.
Well, we knew that after the first Millwall game, right? The first Millwall game we lost because basically we didn't have him in, and Jay, it's not his fault, wasn't able to step into those shoes because he's very, very young, and that's a lot of pressure, and that's why. Maybe we talk about some potential returnees and how that might help us after a word from our partners at Zencastr.
Yeah, all right, let's have that.
Unless I've ranted so much I've forgotten we have had 2 breaks.
Here at the Global Sports Podcast Network, we spent a lot of time selecting our delivery platform, and Zencastr came out the clear winner. With 4K video recording from your phone and AI editing that automatically removes all those ums and ahs, it's super easy to start a podcast that sounds great and is delivered efficiently. If you're ready to tell your story, check out the link in the show description and learn more about Zencastr. All right, mate, and we are back. So, look, the thing that's going to get thrown about and quoted is Johan Spores coming out in the Echo and saying, we don't need a lot in January. And,
we didn't even get to this bit.
That doesn't quite ring true, does it?
Unless a Dozy comes back, mate, and suddenly plays like an absolute baller, and all of a sudden Ross Stewart's knees just are fixed and fused together forever, and he starts training away for fun. Yeah, but until this is the big problem we had when a lot of people just went, "Oh, we need to just play Joe Aribo," and then we saw what happened with that. It didn't play out the way we wanted it to play out, right? We've supposedly got wing-backs on the way that might help with the fact that, Fellows has got injured and not quite back yet. instead of playing Wellington, which we did the other game. But I just it's the when the current 11 are firing and are the strong attacking football we started with. It is incredible to watch. It's wonderful to watch, and that's the performance we wanted, right? We wanted the performance we had against Charlton today. And the problem is when they're not, then you need to try and find solutions. The issue is at the moment, as you're rightly saying, mate, is that there are no real solutions elsewhere. And whenever we've had issues with people being out for fitness, or like that Millwall game, it's not paid off for us either, which is incredibly. It's such a delicate stack of cards. And the idea that the guy that's running the show has turned around and gone, we don't need anything. We don't need another goalkeeper, despite the fact this is a thing that we've been talking about since before Ramsdale even left. We don't need any more attacking support, despite the fact that you can see we need some more attacking support instead of consistently relying on essentially kids to bail us out. It's a worrying thing to hear them say, but surely they have the same eyes that we do, and we do need to trust that, like they have done with Azaz and Cienza and stuff, they'll be able to identify targets and maybe. And what I think we're all secretly hoping is it's just bluster. The reason he's saying that we're not going to be going out all out in January is because people know that we have money and they're probably going to ask for more money. Maybe it's all a master plan. Maybe I'm just delusional. Probably a little bit of that, but. You're right. It's really worrying that we just need an extra. It doesn't matter when people talk about our bench and how strong it is. What they actually are talking about is how much money is on our bench.
Yeah.
Does it matter that Archer cost £15 million if he scored 2 goals all season? No.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
What was your instant reaction when they brought Archer on the pitch? Zach?
Yeah,
you inspired that he was going to go on and score the winning goal and take control of the game?
No, I expected
because I tutted in disbelief and went, well, that's that then. So,
but then again, it was almost it's not as crazy as the Stevens thing. But again, you can see what he's planning to do. He's like, right, let's try and get another attacking player on the field. Let's try and move everything up. But again, swapping out Downs, who was okay. The only thing we got right so far, mate, is that Downs was going to get yellow carded. And to be fair, safest bet in football. 90% of the time, it's fair.
I was going to say, I don't think that he even got booked because of the challenge. I think he talked his way into that booking by arguing the way he
by
did.
Slamming the ground, and but also at this point, it's the only way he's going to get time off, right? So make sure he gets to the point where it's suspended.
Yeah.
And again, but bringing on Romeu, we've all know that Romeu isn't probably quite there yet, and he needs a bit more time still to settle in. You've got sort of Robinson coming on, and then obviously taking off Azaz, who he hadn't had a great game either, but it doesn't feel. It doesn't feel like maybe take off one of the centre backs and push everything forward. It didn't really feel like it was going in for the throat. It's we need to try and score a goal. Azaz looks tired. Let's put on the other attacking player we have. And again, part of that is due to the personality he's got. He doesn't have a huge amount to go through. Archer's or Fraser's already on the pitch at this point. Robinson's already on the pitch. What are you going to do? There's Bragg, who isn't going to exactly do what they wanted to do, or Wellington, who isn't exactly going to do what they want to either, and they've already swapped them out for Fraser. It just kind of felt like he didn't really know what to do and doesn't have the tool in his toolbox to win those games. And again, it wasn't a problem when we were putting the first half to bed, but we're not doing that now, right? Yeah. And that's and again, football's fickle, right? We were talking about how incredible it was and the amazing run we went on. Before, we were talking about how it was the worst season we've had since last season. And maybe we'll be talking in 2 days' time about an absolutely incredible game that we have, at Birmingham, that we beat them and it's great. But the reality of today is that I feel like it was a waste of my time watching. I feel like nobody was really up for it. I think that the manager got the substitutions wrong. And fair play to Oxford United, we can eat our words that are ludicrous 5 or 4-0, 6-5-0, predictions were wildly off because they beat us once before in a pre-season friendly 2-0, mate, and today beat us by 2. They scored 2 goals against us in an actual professional match. So,
in an effort to try and finish on somewhat of a positive note,
I mean, it's going to have to be from you, mate. I'm still angry and bitter, but then what's new?
One player who did look well up for it and really caught my eye today, in a way that he doesn't normally, was Casper Yander. Like, I know I say normally the work he does off the ball is immense, and he sort of does the work that no one likes to give credit for. But actually, his movement with the ball and dragging the team forward, especially after Cienza went off, was really good. I think he was probably our best player today by some margin. So
I also think
that's something.
It will be interesting, as we've discussed before, what's going to happen when Shea Charles is back. Because I think that will give a midfield option that isn't kind of just having to try and like sit back a bit, because you can't rely on Romeu to do that work, really. And obviously, like, that's not really what Dams does, and that's not really what Romeu does. But if you've got Shea Charles as well, I'd love to see Shea Charles with Yander both fit, both absolutely raring to go. And maybe we'll get a chance to see that coming up. But yeah, it's just, I feel like, I guess Taylor Harbour-Bellis had a good game. He scored again. He's like, I'm wondering how long he's probably a couple goals off of Armstrong, but at this rate.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, credit where credit's due. Armstrong was still the top scoring player in the overall league, 11 goals. So
this is true. It's just, they are the ones that have set this expectation. All of the players that joined us in the summer talk about promotion. They're still talking about promotion. Eckert has been hired and talked about promotion. They are the ones that are telling us that they think they should be promoted. They're the ones that are telling us they are underperforming. Then perform better, because that is what you are expecting us to think of you. If everyone came out and went, this season might be a write-off, lads, I know that's not what you want to hear, but like you wouldn't have us being as annoyed, because you kind of expect that. But then, we go on this big run and we start to like build momentum, and it hypes everyone back up. So to then have it kind of like drop off a cliff again, it's just very Saints, mate, isn't it? But what is also very Saints is we come back and get a 4-0 win on Monday, because that's what we did against Charlton when all of us expected Nathan Jones to beat us. So swings and roundabouts, isn't it? It's just, I just really wish they didn't ruin my Boxing Day a little bit. I wanted to have more hype off the back of Boxing Day, but alas.
Indeed. But look, in Tonda's words, the good thing is we've now only got 3 days until we get a chance to put it right. So that is sure one way of looking at it.
I worry that's a very Will Still / Russell Martin quote, isn't it?
Now look, that is all that we have got time for today. Thank you very much, Zach, for joining me.
Thank you, mate.
And thank you everyone for listening. Let us know your thoughts on the game on the socials, in the comments. We're everywhere. We are GSPN Southampton on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, X, which is actually Twitter, its real name, TikTok, Blue Sky, all of them, everywhere. Just hit us up. We love hearing from you. We will be back to preview, did you say Monday's game? There's another game at some point in this festive period. Who knows?
Who knows what day it is? You know what they say, Greg. Things can only get better. So
we will be back at some point to look forward to that. But until then, have a wonderful continuation of the festive period. Weekend, maybe. Who knows? And we will be back then. See you then, guys.
Your daily soccer podcast with the Global Sports Podcast Network.
Merry Crimbo Limbo! Woo!